your train.
Operated until 1982 when they were sold, transferred to the Mississippian Railroad. They somehow ended up in July 1993. We acquired these cars in 1995 and they have been in service on our railroad ever since. Through the junctions with the Western Pacific Railroad at Chapter and the Southern Pacific Railroad at Coburg. This is an 8-wheel caboose, still to steel. Observation car is custom built. It was built right here in Nevada Northern, shopped around 1937.
I remember that. No, there's no. I remember that. I'm sure if we ask.
Ooh, we're flying now. I bet we're doing 5 miles an hour.
Mine's been good the whole time I've been here. Except for those 2 dead zones you've took me with.
That's You'll see the railroad crossing sign right there.
There it is. At the hills here, yeah.
His uncle is our chief.
There's Hotel Nevada. That's where we're staying at.
See, he's always there. He drives up on his bike and guards. He's our guard.
We're on the 6th floor up there.
The tunnel was built in 1907. And it was hand dug.
Hand dug.
Of course.
Boy, isn't that dark. Personally, I'm like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. I love trains. I can't get enough of them. There's nothing like riding on a flat car behind a locomotive as it's going through a tunnel and the steam's blowing back in your face. How thrilling. Big Bang Theory actually did at least part of one of their shows up here where Sheldon drove the train. Telling me that you don't like trains is like telling a Las Vegas Raiders fan that they should have stayed in Oakland. If we wrote it, I intend on posting it.
Robertson Canyon is now narrowing, coming out the narrow part, is now winding now. And this is part of Lane Valley.
There's a porta potty there if you need to go.
No. Oh, it's cold.
It doesn't look like it.
Into the side of the hill. We call that cabin Honeymoon Cottage. Back in the 50s, there were a couple that got married and they didn't have any money to buy a house or rent a house or go on a honeymoon. So they spent their first 6 months of marriage living in this cottage. Didn't cost them anything. Actually, this was stop here about a quarter-mile short of the new town of Ruth, and we're going to shove back into the saddle.
No, they're not real. They're for the Halloween ghost special that they run. And neither is this guy. Turns out it's not much of a round trip. In fact, it doesn't go around at all. It just goes up and comes back down.
Tunnel number 2. This is the newer tunnel. All of you that are on the flight car, please do not lean over the side of cars as we go through the tunnel.
this is Mark Bassett, the Executive Director of the Nevada Northern Railway. He personally likes giving the tours himself.
Morning. Politicians positively prohibited from visiting the offices or shops of this company, Nevada Northern Railway Company. Sign's been there since about the 20s. We do have a replica of it for sale in the gift shop. We're going to go from bright light into gloom, and we're going to go down a set of stairs. If you lean up and touch anything, you will be taking a souvenir of the Nevada Northern Railway home with you. We have 107 years of oil, soot, cinders, grime, and grease. If it involves the steam locomotive, it can be hot. You'll see the staircase going up there to the basket. That is the operator's basket. Now the way that worked, if they needed to move the crane, the operator would climb up there, and then the crane goes the entire length of this building, and the hook goes the entire width of the building. She was delivered brand new to the Nevada Northern in January of 1909. I'll show you what the other one looks like. Yes. Oh, the tubes in front of the wheels. You have a tube here. You have another tube over here.
The really neat thing about the Nevada Northern Railway is it's volunteer run. You can come up here if you're retired and work for them, and they'll teach you how to fix the trains. They'll teach you how to be a conductor, and eventually they'll teach you how to be an engineer, and you don't have to pay to do it.
All right, this is the engine house, and you can see right behind me are very long pits. These are inspection pits for the locomotive. There are 3 takeaways on these pits. Again, in 1912, they expected you not to walk in on them. Next to 204 is locomotive 109. And the reason why, yeah, we got events in all of them. So. Alrighty. Railroad wheels have a flange. And the flange stands about yay high. And the flange rides on the inside of the rail. So again, as long as the flanges stay on the inside of the rail, life is good. Flange goes on the outside of the rail, life is bad. And when that happens, again, no euphemism or anything else, you call out the wrecking crane. Because if the flange has gone on the outside of the wheel, you got a wreck. You'll move back so the other people can take a peek at the toilets.
What is that?
We're going to talk about that. Okay.
It's an air cylinder, right?
Well, you're close.
No, they are water, but if you notice the seat sets up a little bit, they don't charge until you sit down, and they don't flush until you stand up.
And it's a technology that we've forgotten about, but since we elected to live in deserts, it really would be handy if we brought that back. Okay, again, if you're going back to 1914, and it snows in the high desert, and we can get 24, 36, 48 inches of snow, and then the wind starts. And actually, if you're, again, standing in this building in 1914, actually, you wouldn't be standing in this building in 1914. They didn't have the building here, but they still did the repairs here. Yeah. We're going to stick in here for just a bit. I just thought I'd open the door. This is the air brake truck that Rick did.
Cool.
And the other one we took a look at. And underneath all that dirt grime, it's actually painted black. And part of the problem we have is we got such a large complex with a lot of wind, so stuff gets very, very dusty. And this is the cement gun. And actually, it was invented by a person who was actually a taxidermist. And he had just done a huge taxidermy display. And the roof leaked over his display. And he didn't want to tear it down, so he invented the cement gun. You put dried cement in the upper hopper. It's mixed here with water. You have air, and then you have a nozzle. And it's like a giant paint sprayer. Most times a year we pull those cars out, and we hook 40 up to it. It is the Steptoe Valley Flyer.
Wow. Some old stuff in here, huh?
While walking with Mark, I asked him about the possibility of doing an overnight surveillance hunt in here. He said he liked the idea if we could come to terms as possible. He did warn me that it would have to be done in warmer weather. Cold weather, the trains blow off too much, the hissing steam, and you won't pick anything up. We didn't get back up, so they started doing their own tours, and now that Corona's going on, I don't see that they're there anymore.
Has a woman who will appear in a traveling outfit from the 1920s.
Talking about this depot.
Correct. And she walks through walls, which is a little unnerving. Transportation building, our ghost there, we've nicknamed him Bob because he's made himself known so much.
Where's that at?
Next building over.
Next building down there.
Right, and the engine house, one of my volunteers went down there with his girlfriend and 2 staff members, and they went in with a voice recorder and said, "Is anyone here? Is anyone here?" And then he played it back and 3 voices answered him. And actually other people have had problems with the engine house too. There's a house on the back side of the yard, and one of the kids had a sleepover with some friends. They were teenagers, and they come walking down. They walked through the rail yard at night and found that the engine house was open. So they walked into the engine house, were messing around, and apparition appeared, an engineer, bibs, the whole bit, but without legs, and said, "What are you doing here?"
That's the engine house we were in. Right?
Yes, exactly. He's now in Marine Recon, but he won't have anything to do with the engine house at night.
The one that's seen in here, is that, how often is that?
Not very often. I've only known of it twice. Yeah, but the engine house is a lot more often. So people just get cold chills, feel presence, and like I said, they recorded it. So.
Well, that'd be fun to spend the night in there.
Oh, yeah. My office in the summertime, usually it's about 80, 90 degrees, periodically drop to 50. So it's like, I don't think so. So, yeah.
So who was it? What about the lady? I mean, you got any...
No idea.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. No. We do know that railroad workers died here. There were, probably half dozen fatalities here in the yard. So.
In the engine house?
In the engine house, there was one that we know of. So. Yeah.
So you have a name on that one?
Yeah, we do. In fact, it's our master mechanic's great-grandfather.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he got killed by the steam crane.
Well, Nevada is as difficult as California in researching vital records. I did find in 1949 where a guy shot himself through the head in a bunkhouse. He is buried there in Ely. In 1916, a brakeman shot himself in the head, but he did that in his hotel room. And in 1920, another woman shot and killed her engineer husband after he threw acid in her face. Again, that was in their home, though. Over the years, I found a lot of obituaries on men that had died of natural deaths while they were employed at the yard, but those deaths all occurred at hospitals and at home. Nothing occurred in the yard. The Northern Railway was a really neat and unique experience. I've been on train rides before, but never have I ever been allowed inside of a engineering shop where I get to see locomotives being worked on. That, to me, that was pretty cool. If you look on the website or their Facebook page, you can get hooked up with a newsletter. And if you want to make a donation to help keep this running, a mere $35, and they'll send you one of these copper coins like the ones that I put up above my certificate here. Copper, because that's what they used to mine up there, and boy, I'll tell you what, they sure are pretty. If you're heading that way and you want to check out the railroad yard, I'd probably call in advance in this time of COVID and see what their hours of operation are. Also about that ghost hunt, I'd really like to take that, but you might ask, I don't see how you could have a ghost hunt and do social distancing in the dark.